Hello, and welcome to this episode of Let's Keep Rotted Reviews from Becoming a Stagnant Channel. So let's just talk about something while I'm on strike from the movie reviews. So I kind of wanted to talk a little bit here about something that I've been going through that I've talked with patrons about, I've talked about on the patron Discord, and I've talked about in our weekly vlogs, but I haven't really discussed publicly a whole lot. And I think it might help some folks because, the long story short, I've been on Mounjaro. And I know there's a lot of people that are considering going on Mounjaro, Ozempic, Wegovy, any of those new medications. So I wanted to talk about my journey, why I got put on it, the realities of being on it, both good and bad, and what my goals are for the future. So why I got put on it? Well, before I actually begin, I just want to start with a caveat of I am not a doctor. That is so incredibly important. I am going to be very careful with my wording. I'm not going to try and say things like you are. I'm going to try and say things like I did. This is about my personal experiences, and that's it. That is the start and the end of everything in this video is my personal experiences. Please talk with your doctor if you have actual medical questions. The other caveat is this is very difficult for me. This is not a topic that I typically like talking about a whole lot. It is uncomfortable. I'm still undecided whether I'm going to leave comments on or off. You'll know by the time I release this video what my decision will have been. All I ask is that if you're going to leave comments, recognize that I am, on this particular topic, a walking raw nerve. And this might be triggering for a whole lot of people, myself included, and anybody reading them. So just with all things in life, approach them with a sense of kindness. You are talking to a human being. Please don't lose sight of that. All right. So let's get into why I got put on this. At my heaviest, that I can tell, because thing is, when you're gaining weight or, you typically aren't monitoring things. So I wasn't weighing myself with any kind of diligence, but looking at my Fitbit stats and kind of filling in the gaps and looking back on things, I believe that I was at my heaviest around May of 2021 in the heart of the pandemic. And I was 395 pounds. I'm not proud of that. I was working from home. I was in lockdown, and I was making some good choices, and I was definitely making some bad choices. So it wasn't a whole lot further after that I got diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, which also wasn't terribly a big surprise given my size and how long I've been there. I've been overweight most of my entire adult life. But never to that degree. Previous to this, I had always kind of hovered around the 315 to 335 mark, and I had just completely let myself go. And I remembered it was a very big shock to me once I saw 395. Like, I didn't want to go over 400. So I started working on it a bit, and it was slow going. Over the course of the next 22 months or so, I got down to 325. That was my weight as of March 1st of this year. So not bad, 70 pounds lost through just traditional, very, very slow, small changes, not enough changes. And that's important. We'll get to that. But that was about 3.18 pounds per month over the course of that 22 month span, which brings me to the why. So I got diagnosed with diabetes type 2, and it was scary. It was alarming. I made a video on it, and it wasn't enough to make me have any major changes, as scary as it was. I really can't speak to that aside from I don't make any excuses. I suffer from depression and also binge eating disorder. I have binge eating disorder. I think that's the first time I've ever said this publicly. But yeah, I'm not proud of it. And it has led to some very shameful, very uncomfortable, and very painful moments in my life. And I can talk about the whys and the wherefores and the details of that for hours and hours and hours and hours, but I'm not going to cover that here. Suffice it to say, the small changes that I was bringing about and the weight that I was losing slowly wasn't enough. So around mid-February of this year, I was having a checkup with my doctor, and it was the first checkup that I had had monitoring my blood sugar since the diagnosis of type 2. And my A1C had risen an alarming amount, in all honesty. I had made, like I said, small changes. I was eating less sugar. I was eating less candy. I was eating less ice cream, but I hadn't really made any big lifestyle changes. I got put on metformin when I was diagnosed, which was absolute hell the first 2 weeks to a month. And a lot of the side effects kind of lessened after that period of time, but a lot of them just kind of became, this is my new normal. GI issues, probably the most prevalent there. But it wasn't enough. It wasn't managing my blood sugar, and neither was I, to be absolutely honest. So my doctor was talking over my numbers with me, and we were talking about, I said, I want to talk to a nutritionist about making a plan for my cholesterol, my weight, and continue on with that. And she's like, okay, well, we can do that, and you can address that in your time. But that A1C, that's causing you active harm right now, and we are not going to talk about it in any kind of future sense. We are dealing with it immediately. So I had known about Ozempic and so forth, hearing the ads, hearing people talk about it on TikTok, things like that. But I also knew how much it cost. So when my doctor said, well, we can't get you on Ozempic because scarcity, because of the TikTok trends and all that, but there's an alternative called Mounjaro that is very similar in functionality. It just approaches things with the hormones just a little bit differently, but it should be available, and it's about the same price point, which just bare cost of the medication without any insurance is $1,000 a month, roughly. It's a lot. And I knew it was too much. I couldn't do it. But she worked with me. She worked with my insurance company, and based on the type 2, she was able to get it approved by my insurance. So I got it down to $25 a month, and I'm extraordinarily grateful for that. I am counting my blessings that it was made financially available to me, not just medically available. So March 1st was the first day it arrived. It was the first injection that I took, and I have been on it for 4.5 months now. And over that time, I have lost an additional sum of weight. I am now down to 284. So prior to going on Mounjaro, I was losing about 3.18 pounds per month, I already mentioned. Since going on Mounjaro, 9.1 pounds per month. I have lost a grand total so far of 111 pounds. I'm proud of that. I know that there are people out there that are making claims of, well, if you do it on Ozempic or Mounjaro or whatever else, that it doesn't count. You're drugging yourself, so it doesn't count. To those people, I say, fuck you. And there's a pretty good reason why, aside from the fact that they're just assholes. And that gets into the good and the bad realities of being on Mounjaro. So let's get into it. If you're considering going on any of these types of drugs, let's get into what the reality has been for me. Now, I'm not going to say again what the reality will be for you, what the reality has been for anybody else, what the reality is on any medical level. I'm just talking about my personal experiences. The good kind of sounds like a bad, but it's not. This is not a miracle drug. This is not a magic pill, injection, whatever. So, that's one reason I say to the people that say it doesn't count, fuck you, because this isn't magic. You cannot live the lifestyle that you always have in the lifestyle that you gained the weight with and inject this medicine and expect it to make any difference. You simply cannot do that. I have, over the last 4.5 months, especially towards the beginning, binged. And I have managed to out-eat this drug. I have managed to out-eat this and gain weight as I was learning things. I think I kind of started with the expectation that it would be a miracle drug and I would just simply do whatever I wanted. It's not the case. Just simply not. excuse me, what this does, or what this has done for me more than anything else, sorry, I really should silence some stuff here, is it lowers the volume. I say as I silence my phone. When I was actively trying to eat well or eat less, it was mostly following general guidelines of CICO, calories in, calories out, looking at what my TDEE is and coming in a bit under that per caloric day, and just kind of generally calculating and monitoring what I ate. And in doing that, there was this constant noise, constant brain level activity of what am I eating, track it, hunger telling me, like constantly keeping it in the forefront of my brain. What is going to be my next meal? What is going to be the next snack? What is, it was just this constant splinter that I could never get rid of. It's like having a toothache. It may not be the most extreme pain imaginable. You're not heading to the ER to get it taken care of, but it's there. It's always present. And no matter what you're trying to focus on, it will still continue to pop into the forefront of your head. And after a week or 2 weeks of that, it becomes mentally exhausting, emotionally wearisome. Absolutely. It just drags you down. And that's what trying to maintain a healthy eating habit was like for me. Is it would just be this constant mental process that would exhaust me. So whatever motivation or excitement I had looking at scale victories would be eventually wiped out by just the absolute exhaustion on an emotional and mental level of having to maintain things. Sorry. This is like I said, this is difficult for me to talk about. So what this medication does, or has done for me, is it lowered that volume. It made it so that I can have those good eating habits. And if I'm focused on work, on channel stuff, on, getting into a good book or watching a movie or playing a game or just anything, it's not like that toothache anymore. It doesn't pop back up in the forefront of my brain. If I'm just bored and doing nothing, then yeah, I'll think about, I'm, hungry if I want some food. But if I'm focused on other things, it just isn't there, which really helps with the mental exhaustion, and it helps me make good decisions. The other major point is if I eat slowly, then I can feel satiated, which, being the size that I am, with the habits that I have had over the last several decades, is new. I have worn down my brain chemistry, my hormone response level. I have worn it down to the point where feeling full didn't happen prior to this medication. I would either be hungry or I would be nauseous, especially after a binge. But there was no such thing as satiated. Now I feel that, which is big. So I no longer, there would be oftentimes, especially if I was, just kind of going on, not necessarily a binge, but not monitoring my food. I would just, eat until the plate was empty, and I would still kind of be a bit hungry, but, that was just simply the way I felt. Now I can eat slowly. I don't need to wait for my plate to be empty. I can have 3/4 of it, and I start to get the signals, and I have to listen to them. But I can get the signals and I can stop. So between those two things, the turning the volume down and actually having the signals in place, it has made a huge, huge difference in the work that I was already doing. So that's one of the biggest key points that I really want to emphasize if you are considering going on this, is it is not a magic pill. It is not magic drugs. It will help you do the work that you need to do anyway. That's it. Which is, like I said, the other reason that anybody says it doesn't count, they can just go right to hell. So it's a wingman. You're doing the work. You want to make the changes. You still have to make the changes. But it helps a lot. So that's the reality of the good points of Mounjaro and what it has done for me. Let's go over the bad, because there is bad. Every drug has its side effects, and this is no exception. The biggest one I can think of is I take a once a week shot, and I usually do it Wednesday mornings. Well, I always do it Wednesday mornings. And one of the ways in which there's a feeling that you kind of have periodically, and I think this kind of goes hand in hand with getting those signals. It's difficult to describe. It's not nausea. It certainly doesn't feel like, when you have food poisoning and you get, the mouth starts watering and you're like, oh, it's up to here. Better make some plans. Better pull over. It's not like that. It's like a bubble. It's like almost like you kind of got a burp, which burping. We'll get into that. That's a side effect, but we'll get into that. But no, it's almost like there's pressure, not painful, but it definitely dissuades any kind of hunger. Like, if you feel like, I really, I don't really want to eat. And that's usually, I would say, the worst around Fridays. Like I said, I take my medication Wednesday morning, and about, throughout the course of the week, there's kind of ebbs and, flows and tides and so on, raises and falls. And I would say that Friday is usually about the time that I really feel that more than any other time. You just kind of get, it's a very difficult feeling to actually verbalize and describe, but it's just this pressure that you kind of just recognize as part of the process. And when it comes time for lunch, if I eat slowly, after the first couple of bites, it's gone. So it's just, your body kind of relearning signals. The burps. This is something that has happened to me over the last 4.5 months. I would say more than 5, less than 10 times, where I will get a lot of burps in the morning, and that's bad enough on its own, but they are sulfur burps. It smells like I just ate a whole slew of hard-boiled eggs, and now I got the burps. It's not fun. It really is like, especially if you're feel that feeling of like Friday pressure that I do. And then you start having the sulfur burps. It's like, oh God. Oh, that tastes horrible. It only lasts for, I don't know. I've had it last 10 minutes. I've had it last an hour. Like I said, it hasn't happened a lot, but it's worth noting that it's a side effect. And looking at the Mounjaro subreddit, other people have definitely had this as well. So it's not like a weird outlier for me. Another thing that has happened to me, I would say less than 5 times. And the first time was the most extreme. It has never been as bad as it was that first time, which happened about a month after starting. It happened around April. I got real cold. I just could not get warm. I've read some stuff here. I don't know how true it is that the hormones that it kind of regulates also regulates, your body thermal, what have yous. I don't know how, like I said, how true that is. All I know is that, especially that one night, I could not get warm. I was piled with blankets and I was shivering. I couldn't sleep, and I was getting like really physically exhausted from shivering. And I wound up actually managing to go to sleep. And by the time I woke up, it must have passed. And I woke up under a pile of blankets, just sweating my ass off because I was cooking myself under the blankets. Like I said, it hasn't really happened a whole lot since. And when it has, it's just like not even close to as bad as that one night. So I don't know. Like I said, it's a side effect. I'm just mentioning them. And that's about it. That's, for the good that this has done me in providing the tools that I have so desperately wanted in helping me make the decisions that I really needed to. Sulfur burps and being cold every once in a while, not too bad. I'll take it. So moving forward, let's talk about that. What are my plans moving forward? What are my goals? What are my aspirations? What are the things that, what are we doing? I want to wean off of it. First of all, I want to reach my weight goal. My weight goal for the size that I am, height, and just kind of bone structure. My folks in my family run large, not just fat, but large. I'm thinking that I want to get down to about 200 and then maintain a weight of anywhere between 200 to 215. If I can, start working out and run marathons and, get trimmer than that, that'd be great. But I'm talking about realistic lifelong goals that I can adhere to until the day I die, which hopefully is a long way off. And that also goes into goals. But down to 200, and then expecting that after weight loss always comes a bit of a right back up, and then just like maintain between 2 to 215. I will have to monitor my weight and my health and my A1C for the rest of my life diligently to ensure that I don't slip. And that's just the reality. One thing that I have noticed, like I said, I could out-eat this medication, and I did when I first got started. The binge eating disorder, I'm going to have that for the rest of my life. But it has happened a lot less. And it hasn't happened in a while. And I'm very happy about that. My relationship with food is changing, and I can feel that. I can feel a lot of changes. And I'm very happy about all of them, and I hope to continue that. The way this worked for me is I got started on 2.5 milligrams of Mounjaro and then steadily increased it. You go up in 2.5 milligram increments, and you can go all the way up to 15 milligrams. I'm at 10, and I think I want to stay there. It has taken me a slow progression to get up to 10, and I know that it's going to be even slower coming back down because I do not want to cold turkey this. From what I understand, a lot of the people that have gained a lot of the weight back because those signals that were suppressed came in hard. And I think weaning myself off of it very slowly, I can work with my new relationship with food and with the better habits slowly to get acclimated. So I want to get down to 200, then start weaning myself off very slowly. I'm talking a year or two of just very slow steps down, and then maintain between 200 to 215 for the rest of my life. In the kind of short/medium term, I'm working within the CICO and lowering for my TDEE fairly aggressively, not to an unhealthy level. I'm maintaining a caloric level that is healthy for me and my weight loss. But I have a goal that I am kind of trying to sprint towards. And once I reach that goal or that time frame, then I kind of want to stop sprinting and start jogging, if that makes sense. I'm going to be going to Orlando, Universal Studios, Halloween Horror Nights at the end of September. I'm very much looking forward to that. What I'm not looking forward to is the flight. As a fat man, airplanes are the worst. It is emotionally devastating. Having to ask for a seatbelt extender is absolutely devastating to me. Stepping foot onto the plane and seeing the look on people's faces, especially if they have an open seat next to them, it kills me. I just want to break down. So my goal is to get to the point, and I may be there already, I don't know. But my goal is to not have to use a seatbelt extender when I go to Orlando and to enjoy my vacation, because I figure if I'm going to be going to Universal Studios, I want to go on roller coasters, and there is no seat in the world smaller than an airplane seat. So if I can fit relatively comfortably, or let's just say with the same level of discomfort as everybody else around me, I don't think anybody can actually be comfortable in an airplane seat. But if I can have an equal level of discomfort as my peers in an airplane seat, then I can probably fit in a roller coaster seat and enjoy myself on some rides at Universal Studios. So yes, I am sprinting towards that goal. I may be there already. I'm not sure. I want to continue on. And then once my vacation is over and I get back home, I do want to start taking in a bit more calories and just easing off and losing slowly. Slowly, because it's just the healthier way to go about it. It's healthier for my numbers, my stats, the longevity of how long I would actually be able to stick with this, future levels of goals and successes, and also skin. The loose skin, when you lose slowly, it gives it a better chance of bouncing back and tightening up, which will hopefully lessen the possibility of me needing skin removal surgery by the time all this is over. I'm probably still looking at needing it if I ever wanted to look like a swimsuit model. That's an unrealistic goal. That's never going to happen. But in terms of any kind of health issues with, again, I'm just being honest and frank here in terms of sores or skin issues that develop of having the loose skin and needing the removal surgery. I really don't want to have to go through it. As I understand it, it's extremely expensive. It's extremely, extremely painful. If I can avoid having to do it, I would like to. I don't mind being a bit of a Shar-Pei if it means that I can live longer and have a healthy life. But if I need to have it, then... So I'm trying to lessen the need of that. So losing slowly will allow my skin the elasticity to bounce back and hopefully lessen that possibility. So those are my goals moving forward. And I'm hoping that I can reach that. I have a long way to go. I have been on this road for a little while, and I have a little while left to go. But it's... I'm proud of my progress so far, and I'm proud of all of my victories, scale and non-scale. I can feel so many differences in myself on an energy level, on a health level, on interacting physically with the world around me, with my clothes, with my, everything. I can feel so many differences, and they're all so positive. So I'm very much optimistic, and I'm looking forward to the future. And I haven't been able to say that for a long while. So that alone is not nothing. So, yeah, like I said, being on this for almost 5 months now, I kind of felt like I was in a place where I felt like I could speak to my experiences and provide a little bit of clarity for what this drug is. And I think more importantly, what it isn't. And if you've been considering going on it, I would definitely talk to your doctor and go in with the right level of expectations and of the drug and of yourself. So there you go. That's my experience on Mounjaro. And I hope this has been enlightening, illuminating, possibly entertaining. I don't know. And thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to talking to you again soon. Have a great day, everybody. Take care.